The intro is that we just spent a week together, and it doesn't happen every day that I get to interview one of the guests. But there are many reasons why I wanted to have you here. One of them being that you wear a golden aura ring.
Yep.
Very beautiful. What was your aura score this morning? Did you check?
Somewhere in 50.
Somewhere in 50. Yeah, it's
Not
been
so great.
It's been not so great. You're also sleeping on a boat.
And
Well, it's not
again,
not just a
5
boat,
hours.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. It's actually, it's not, it's good.
yeah.
Yeah. It was very comfortable. I felt like I was floating the entire time.
No, someone told me it's actually funny story. Sonja, one of the
Yes.
guests at the retreat, she asked her boyfriend. She sent her boyfriend a text. She's like, I know it will sound crazy, but do you want to stay with me on a boat
Yes.
with a monk and two other very good-looking girls?
And he was like, sure.
Sure, of course, yeah.
They were there yesterday.
It's actually wild where life gets you to.
Yes,
Like, who?
it
If I
is.
would have told you 2 weeks ago you're gonna be on a yacht with a monk,
No.
yeah, it's just wild
crazy.
sometimes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But,
I was doubting to book something the day after because I knew I was going to be there another night. But I was like, I'm just going to leave it open and we'll see. And then the day before, Free proposed that. So I was like, sure.
Very beautiful. During the retreat, I called you Zen Zowhy, and that is, together with your golden aura ring, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you here, because I think you embody a new way of being in the whole entrepreneurial space without hustling 24/7. I'm very happy and grateful to see that this is more or less becoming part of the past, at least from what I observe. So yeah, everybody here who's listening, watching, will get 1 hour of Zen Zowhy. Where was Zowhy always so Zen? Can you give us a bit of context about your journey? If I would have been a fly in your head when you were a teenager, when you were a young adult, what would I experience?
No, she was not always calm and grounded for sure. But I think it started earlier. I told you before as well, but when my parents got divorced when I was 7, I think there is where a lot of things shifted. Because my external reality became very uncertain, very unpredictable, very unstable. And then I felt the same inside. So every week there was another household. I was living out of my suitcase as a child of 7, 8, 9, 10 until I was going to university, so until 18. And well, of course, that kind of brings you in some kind of state where you never really feel grounded within yourself. Well, at least that's what it did for me. And so that's basically how everything kind of started. And then on top of that, I went through quite intense periods with, for example, my parents as well, because then you know your household as a family, and then it shifts to 2 separate places, 2 separate visions. And I've had quite a difficult relationship with my mom. I love her very deeply, but it wasn't always easy. And also for her, of course, she stepped into an entirely new job. So she was working a lot, so she wasn't there. And then in that way, I started to carry a lot of responsibilities. And I've had not so great experiences with stepdads as well, as in terms of I've just a feeling of not connecting with them and feeling in advance there was something off, and then eventually it also didn't turn out good.
But nobody listened to.
I didn't see anyone. That's the thing. I kept it for myself. It was just a feeling, and then I always preferred being with my dad. And every time and this sounds so horrible maybe, but every time I had to go to my mom, I felt so unstable and anxious. So every Sunday I had to pack my bags to go there. It didn't feel right. And this was just as a child, so it was just a feeling I was experiencing, and it didn't have to do anything with the fact that I didn't love her or anything. The opposite, because I was craving more of that connection with her. And then, well, years went by, and I think I kind of created these coping mechanisms and patterns to just cope with that in day-to-day life. And my days as a teenager basically looked like waking up at 6 in the morning, taking care of my half-sister. She came when I was 13. Going to school, leaving very early because I lived quite far away. Being at school the entire day, going back, homework or anything. Being at home in a household where our visions clash a little. I'm very, I would say, intuitive, emotional. For example, my love language, like the thing I value most is quality time and being present together, and as in really present. And there it was more like, I don't know, the love language was like, I don't know if I even want to call it a love language, but you get something and you do things in return. Like, it was a bit of a weird dynamic. But then when I was 18, I went to university, and that's where also my journey started to shift.
You mentioned coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
What were the coping mechanisms that you created? Maybe for some people it's the first time they hear the word. So what is a coping mechanism? What are the ones that you developed? And maybe if you want to go there, what is maybe one that still shows up in your world today?
Okay, so first, what's a coping mechanism? Well, so in certain situations, for example, where I didn't feel comfortable or where things just didn't feel right, I created certain patterns, coping mechanisms to create some kind of safety.
Yeah.
To bring up a wall and try to not let it affect me.
Yeah.
So kind of creating a way to deal with a certain situation that doesn't necessarily is in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And what were some coping mechanisms I had? Not showing myself. That was a big one, I think. Like, just being there, but not really being present. So I wasn't really sharing my thoughts or how I was feeling. I was just more in my own world. That's for sure one thing. And I think that also kind of rippled through in other areas as well. So in school, in friendships, and
How, so something would happen, you get triggered, there's something in you?
yeah, or if I would feel, for example, uncomfortable in a group or something, I would just be more on the background or something.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily show myself entirely.
Almost emotionally distance yourself?
Yeah. Not always. It depends on the people, of course. Like some people you feel close to and you feel comfortable with, then you do show yourself. But at home, that was not the case.
Different story. I had a very similar one where I basically, whenever something happened as a child, and I had spoke about it here on the podcast multiple times, where I had an abusive caregiver. So as a child, I built this coping mechanism to protect me, to like do a similar thing emotionally, basically detach from the moment, so it would be less painful and I have less painful consequences.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have the chance to, like show rage or show anger. So what I did is I would then just like leave the space. I would still be physically there, but
Your mind.
my mind was somewhere else. I would just shut down. I would like almost freeze and just like, okay, this is better than like trying to run away or something.
Yeah.
And then I'm so grateful you bring it up, because I think those walls that used to protect us
Yeah.
are often, if not looked at, the walls that imprison us.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, for sure.
Are there still walls that, or not are there, what are the walls that are still affecting you these days?
That's a good question.
Very beautiful question. I also love that you pause.
Yeah.
A pause to think. Gives us all, everybody who's listening, watching, the permission to think what are walls that you built as a child, brought you a lot of value as a child, but now those walls are actually hurting you. They're imprisoning you.
I'm still thinking. One thing that comes up for me is expectations. Yeah. Having expectations sometimes in certain situations, not always. But I think with relationships where you are very close to someone, you automatically create certain expectations. And I think that's something that I can for sure.
What would be like a crazy unspoken expectation?
An unspoken expectation.
Yeah, like an expectation that you haven't even communicated, but then if you really think about it, it's like, actually, wow, it's crazy that I have this expectation.
I don't think I communicate everything. For me, communication is like the most important thing. So I don't think I have an unspoken expectation. I also don't expect crazy things. But I think it's more so sometimes life happens, sometimes life gets busy, or things just external reality changes, and then your expectations might still be there to be the same, but sometimes your external reality just changes. So then I feel like taking on an attitude where you also feel more flexible, it helps to not be disappointed in any way.
I'll give you a couple of examples, and maybe you have helpful tips for people who are listening right now, including me, because I once went to a retreat myself, and they gave us this exercise. Tell us all the expectations you have of yourself, of your partners, of the world.
Yeah.
Because what they're teaching is that an expectation or a trigger is an unmet expectation. So then we started writing down all of those expectations we have, and they were like, people would share it, and it created this beautiful, vulnerable world. And there was one person having the expectation. So when my partner comes at home, I want him basically to come to the door, greet me, kiss me, say that, like, welcome her, basically, because that's how it was for her when she grew up. Right?
Yeah.
And so whenever he didn't do it, she got triggered. and he wouldn't understand it. But then there was like, it was unspoken, and often like I have the same list of like expectations that I sometimes have. I have a video editor right now, or the videographer right now behind the cameras walking here. I once had the expectation of my previous editor. Oh, he still works with us. But I had the expectation every single time when you edit a video, a podcast or something, you need to get it right the first time. I've never, spoken it out. It was unspoken. I wasn't even aware of it, but I would get triggered every single time when I had to like watch it. And I'm like, this is not okay. This is not okay. And it would create this tension within me until I actually did this exercise. And I'm like, wait a second. Is that actually a fair expectation? It's actually something, in my opinion, something crazy to ask for. Like, you need to nail it the first time and create it how I want to create it. Like, what are the odds that everything, the music choice, the lighting, the color grading, the title, the thumbnail, that everything is in a way like I want it. And then I'm like, oh, okay, it would be much nicer if I just have the expectation. You do it to the best of your abilities. I watch it, I give you then feedback. Exactly. And it's the most normal thing, and it changed so much
but
for them and me.
Of it beforehand, that's the thing with triggers as well, right? If you're not aware of what's behind it, then it's difficult to.
Do you have an exercise or a practice that people can do to become aware of their expectations? I think it's especially interesting for people when they are in romantic relationships, because it seems like you're someone who speaks about those things, expectations. I think a lot of people would say right now, like, I'm just scared to communicate those kind of expectations or preferences.
Yeah. I think, I think communication is for sure key. Because if you don't, as you said before in your example, if you don't communicate it, the other side, they don't know. So they will just practice it to their ability, to their like awareness, of what they know. But then if you don't communicate your needs or values or how you would like to do it, then of course there's this gap there. But when it comes to what you actually asked me, the expectations with like how to become more aware of them, I would dial it back first to self-awareness rather than expectations you have for others, and working on improving your own level of self-awareness when it comes to daily life as well. Like, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? How are you acting? How are you talking to people, to yourself? And by improving your own level of self-awareness, you will kind of start to catch yourself in those things as well. If you have certain expectations for yourself, for others, for experiences as well. I think if you improve your own level of self-awareness, then you start to catch those little moments easier. Of course, in the beginning, it's more of a conscious practice as well, I think. But then at a certain point, you just start to catch those, for example, those destructive thoughts. And I think when you come to that point, it's about continuously reframing that. That's also what we talked about with the
Is it
tattoo
true?
I have.
Yeah, I love it. Can you show the tattoo that you have? No, maybe in the camera.
Well, how do I?
It says, "Is it true?"
Is it true? Yeah, this reminds me to question my thoughts. So I got it at a time where I was feeling very anxious in life, on a more continuous basis. And I felt controlled by it as well. So on a physical level. So I was physically feeling this anxiety in my chest a lot, because there was a time in my relationship, I would say, very vulnerably, because I don't really share about that often, where I had to make difficult decisions. And I think with love as well, it's a conscious choice that you keep making every day. And there was this period where there was a lot of anxiety revolved around just the time being there. And sometimes I feel like anxiety is something that you are so unaware of during the day. It's physically present, but at some point it's just there and it becomes something normal. So I wanted to catch myself more when a thought came up and I started spiraling. And that's when I got this one, to continuously ask myself whenever I am just going through my day and I'm just doing something, well, it's there on my hand. So even if I'm not overthinking or I'm just doing my thing and I see it, I just question what I'm thinking in that moment. And then I can, if at that point I am feeling somewhat unsettled in any way, then I question the thought, if it's actually a fact, if it's true. And sometimes just reading this helps. And I can just let it go and just flows away. Well, now I'm not at that stage anymore, but back then, now it still helps. But sometimes when I read it and it didn't help, then it still reminds me to tap into my body and to calm down my nervous system at that time.
They once made this study about, they tried to track down how many of the worries that you have actually then become reality. And it's obviously not the easiest thing to track and to do a study about. They did it to the best of their abilities, and they found out 85% of the things we worry about never become our reality. And then it was another crazy number. I think it was around 70% of the things that, so for those things, for the 15%, that became reality. More than 70% actually coped with it much better than they thought they would.
Yeah.
So the good news is most things that you worry about never become reality. And then the thought that most of us have that we can't deal with it, that we can't deal with the consequences, is not really true.
We make it bigger in our minds.
Than it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have a practical thing people can do who deal? It's like one of the number one things that I hear, that I see, this anxiety, physical symptoms, but then also like just almost constant anxiety. Because you said you struggled with it. What helped you out of it? Or living with it?
Well, this is something that also I work a lot on with my clients. The first 3 to 4 years of my coaching business, almost every single one of my one-to-one clients, the topics that were present were stress, anxiety, overthinking, overwhelm. And then one of the main things, the first foundational tool I always use is meditation. And of course, that's something you start practicing and doing. I let them do it on a daily basis, because I feel like it's a tool that no matter which struggle you're facing, it forms a foundation for every area of life. Again, also that self-awareness comes in, because by meditating you become more self-aware. But you also calm down your nervous system. So whenever you feel anxious or stressed or you start to spiral and you meditate, you calm down your nervous system as well. But of course, sometimes it sounds like a whole thing to do a meditation when you're feeling anxious in your day-to-day life. So one exercise that I often share, and it's also something that I already shared for free as well on my page, is like a simple breathing exercise where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold at the top for 4 seconds, and breathe out for 7. Because when you lengthen your exhales and breathe in through your belly, you're activating your parasympathetic nervous system rather than your sympathetic nervous system. So when we feel anxious or stressed, we're breathing from our chest area, activating our sympathetic nervous system. And it's beneficial when you're doing sports or when you're about to give a presentation. It's a positive kind of stress. But when you're feeling anxious or you're worrying about things that don't make sense, then by using this exercise, and again, the two things, lengthening your exhale or breathing through your belly, those are like the two main factors to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, and then you calm down your nervous system.
Can we do a round together?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Feeling anxious?
I don't feel anxious, but no, I don't feel anxious. But whenever someone says, I already felt like a little meditation or something, I'm like, I'm here to receive. I think Hamish, the videographer right now behind the camera, he wouldn't mind a little bit of breath work as well. So.
Okay. Well, both of you, then you can put one hand on your heart.
One hand on my heart, okay.
And one on your belly. Because we will be breathing in through our belly. Maybe start by rolling your shoulders back and just focusing on the natural rhythm of your breathing.
By the way, I invite everybody to join if you're watching, listening. Unless you're driving a big vehicle. A car, for example.
Okay, so keep focusing on the natural rhythm of your breathing. And when you're doing so, feel how your belly is going up and down, is expanding, and how your chest stays centered. So really breathing in through your belly. Then let's do 3 rounds together. I'll just count and you can follow along. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold at the top. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in again. 2, 3, 4, hold at the top. 2, 3, 4, and out again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last time. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold at the top. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then allow your breath to just come to its natural rhythm again. Feel how your body feels a bit more relaxed than before. How you're feeling a bit more present than before. And then you can open your eyes again.
Beautiful, thank you. I hope my videographer is Hamish. You good? he doesn't want. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to open his eyes. Yeah, a thought that came up, that comes up sometimes. Also, when we started talking, was I have this. When I do podcasts, like in general, I would say I have a lot of energy. I have different phases where I would say I'm a bit loud at times, like a lot of energy, a lot of presence. Then I also have times when like yesterday evening, for example, I wanted to be completely by myself and I wanted to chill. Sometimes I I catch myself when then there are people who have maybe like who are more chilled, more grounded, that I think like, is it too much for them? Have you ever experienced that? I also think it reminded me of this one situation. There was Tony Robbins in one room with Eckhart Tolle. And they were speaking at the same time. And they, on the one side, you have this guy like speaking like this and like boom, and he's like, I don't know, 6'5" or something. He is massive, you know, like presence and talking. And then there's Eckhart Tolle, who is a bit more chilled and laid back. And like, what is your, I don't even know if it's a question more than just an observation. Like when we started talking, I could sense how I would like speak quieter and more chilled. What is your?
You ask if it feels too much for me. If you are
Like I'm just I don't even know. I'm just there was just a thought I wanted to share out loud.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because I think it's not because a person feels grounded or calm that they cannot explore other facets or other states. I don't feel calm or grounded 24/7. I also have, last week we were also jumping up and down when we had ecstatic dance. I think it's just a collection of things, and I think it's a good thing to mix more like different energies as well, and then you kind of come to an equilibrium in a way, because one person takes a bit from the other, and then you kind of come to a wavelength.
Yeah, good point.
If you touch in with each other's energy. If not, then I think it can clash a bit. But
yeah, I have it with a couple of friends who are like super chill, and sometimes I'm like, oh fuck, right now I'm probably like way too loud. I'm, is it true? But I love just sharing it and saying it out loud, and then often you're like, yeah, you know what? Right now it is actually a bit too much. My best friend, he's like very chill, and like sometimes I think I can feel like, oh fuck, I'm maybe a little bit too much, and then I usually ask, but it just came up while I was breathing, and I love those practical things we can do.
It's easy. It's simple.
Yeah. I think if what I hear sometimes from someone who struggles with anxiety is like, how can I say that respectfully? It can't be that easy, or it can't be that simple. Like people who struggle with anxiety, depression, when you then say like, okay, so here are a couple of things that could help improve your symptoms and improve the quality of your life, you feel resistance, or you hear resistance.
Sure. Yeah, because you want to stay subconsciously in what's familiar, right?
I think that little sentence you just whispered into the microphone, I think is is worth repeating.
Because subconsciously you want to stay in what's familiar, and I think for people who do think that it's too good to be true, or it sounds too simple, I would just say try it. Because if you don't try it, you don't know, and even if you feel resistance, if you would try it for like a week or 2 weeks, you take 5 minutes a day, what do you lose?
Exactly what you probably just said is like familiarity. You would lose the familiarity.
But do you rather stay in that and stay stuck, or have a possibility to clear things out and create space for?
Do you think that's the main reason why people don't want to change or don't change? It reminds me of this one client I once had. She went from one abusive relationship to the other, and she would come in this victim state, and I think it was like the 4th time that her boyfriend, her partner, was cheating, was abusive, and I was thinking about a way, how can I say this respectfully and nicely? And then sometimes I just ask for permission where I'm like, can I be completely honest with you right now? I think you are the problem. And you hear like, and obviously I do it in a way where I feel like it's still there is connection, and the person that I'm coaching is really like seeing I care about you, so I say that and let me explain. Because what I didn't think in the moment was like, it's your fault and it's okay. I'm just sharing, I'm just saying what is your part in all of this, because at the end of the day, if it happened 4 or 5 times and you keep choosing the same person and the same scenarios coming up in your life, maybe, just maybe, you're playing a part in that. And what you just said it might be the reason. What do you think it is?
A pattern that keeps repeating itself until you learn from it. I think like our patterns that we subconsciously keep repeating, sometimes consciously, but subconsciously keep repeating, they're there for a reason, and I think they keep showing up until you actually learn from it. And otherwise, you, even if you don't intend to, but you keep repeating similar thoughts, similar emotions, similar actions, and then you keep.
Why do we do that? It's why because I do that in some ways, and I'm like, in other ways I can look at it and say, oh my gosh, it's so incredibly stupid to do that. And then at the same time I don't want to be a hypocrite and ask myself, like, where do I still do that?
I think everyone does.
Everybody does.
And
it would be just interesting to understand why and in which way are you doing it. I, for example, I have this. I'm thinking, in which way am I behaving like this? I would immediately could think of examples where people make certain choices, like certain food choices, then feel horrible and do it all over again the next day and all over again the next day, and they kind of know, like, I feel shitty because of that.
Yeah.
But keep doing it. Or have a problem, have a trigger, drink alcohol and try to numb it, and then feel the negative consequences, but don't change and do it all over again the next time and all over the time the next time. And you kind of like, also when you speak to alcoholics, they kind of like, they see it's not good for them. And I should do something differently. And then there are people who are like, who are struggling with their health. They see the consequences, not that they, are like completely delusional, but they go back to the same old behavior.
I think it's also something that keeps showing up in different stages of life, because I think, for example, right now you could have one certain pattern that keeps coming up, in a couple of years you'll discover a new one. And it's just about, again, that self-awareness of becoming aware of a certain pattern when it shows up, and then redirecting to like a different path. With different stages we come to, for example, in business as well, if you reach a new level, you reach a new pattern. Or a new belief, or a new something that comes up.
I had for years this pattern of, whenever I made a mistake while speaking English, I would get in my head like there's no tomorrow. I would like, oh my gosh, I just made a mistake. And then I would get in my head, I would think for the other person, and I would say, oh my gosh, they probably think I'm absolutely stupid right now. And I would this like, who am I to think that I'm speaking? And I did this for years. Like exactly the pattern that we just described. Doing something that is destructive, kind of knowing that it's destructive, but keep repeating it because it's the same old story. I'm very happy and grateful I worked on that. And a couple of years ago, I shifted it into number one, even in my mother language, I make mistakes. And I don't beat myself up for making mistakes in my other language, so why would I do that? And then I shifted it to something positive, which is I'm a genius when it comes to languages. I speak so many different languages,
sometimes it's even just about that, right? Like catching it, reframing it, and energetically claiming that from now on, I take on that mindset.
Quick one, but important one. If you enjoy this podcast, you will love our Fire Within retreats. We create not just retreats, but life-changing experiences, usually at very beautiful places. It's for everyone who honestly loves to grow. That's the only requirement we have. During those days, you will yes, have a blast. You will meet amazing people. You will cry, you will laugh, you will jump, you will do things that you've never done before. And for sure, you will grow. It's a perfect mix between relaxation, recharging, and growing and learning new things and creating the life that you really want and that you really deserve. You will walk out of there with a big smile on your face, recharged. Usually people who come to our retreats don't use their phone during that time. It's really time for you to reflect, to create consciously the life that you want. If you would like to relax, and I mean really relax, recharge, and learn life-changing tools, click the link that you will find underneath this video. You will get a special prize as a listener of this podcast. Thank you so much. And who knows, maybe I see you in Italy, in Spain, Austria, or wherever we decide to host a retreat. Now let's continue. What if someone is listening right now and is catching themselves with very destructive behavior? Like drinking, too much, like always choosing partners that are not emotionally available, or always choosing partners who cheat on them, always ending up in the same scenario, and that scenario is some scenario you don't like. Like maybe right now there's the time and space for them to, for all of us, to reflect and see, do I really like it? And if I don't like it, what would I like to have instead? If someone is listening right now and has this moment, this epiphany, what would you, is there anything that you would like to share?
I would advise you to think about the version of yourself you do want to be. If you are at a moment where you realize, okay, this is a destructive thought pattern, anything that I don't want to have in my life, but it feels difficult to move beyond it. Thinking about the version of yourself who already is beyond it, knowing that version of yourself is already existing, and getting crystal clear on what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what they're doing on a daily basis, the actions they're taking, the people they're surrounding themselves with, everything, just like mapping out their life, and then consciously on a daily basis already stepping in that version of yourself. Because it's in the small decisions you make. It's in, just decide. Making that decision consciously, and then repetition is key, right? So repeating, stepping into that version of yourself until that becomes your new normal and the other one fades away.
A really interesting, while you were speaking and saying that, a picture came into my head of one of my first relationships. We moved into an apartment together and spent more time together, and turns out when you spend more time with people you really care about, more triggers come up, and it's actually becoming a bit more difficult for some people. I don't want to, at least for me. Let's talk about me. And there was this pattern ingrained in me of, you don't show emotion. Showing emotion, crying is a weakness. I think I speak for many men. It actually, like, if you really think about it, it's one of those crazy expectations a man have, or society has. Like, a man can't show emotions, can't cry, always needs to, like, push through, and don't, it's like even weird to share about it. It's considered a weakness. That's a crazy expectation.
It's crazy. Yeah, for sure.
Especially for those of you who know what it's like to be a man, I can tell you it's not that, we don't have emotions, we don't want to cry. Like, your eyes have the ability as a man to, bring out tears for a very good reason. It's one way to release emotions. And if you don't do it, then it obviously has severe consequences. And if we, especially like for young men, it's just wild. It's in certain countries, we have people from the UK here, it's the number one leading cause of premature death for young people is suicide, mental health things. And so maybe this whole thing about not showing emotions is not so helpful. And I remember how I grew up always with this paradigm, you don't show emotions, it's weakness. And then I discovered it at some point in a relationship where I'm like, I would judge my partner for every single time when she would cry. Because I'm like, why are you crying? It's nothing big. Like, why are you crying about it? And there was the time when I started reading books and started doing the work. And at some point I was like, wait a second. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe there's something, just maybe there is something that I need to learn here. And maybe this true, is it really true? And I switched it. And now if I reflect, I was like 8, 9, wait, I'm 30 now. That was like my early 20s, like almost a decade ago. And you know me, and you know what it's like if you know me and you know what it's like to spend time with me, like there's a lot of space for showing how you truly feel.
For sure.
And I'm sensitive and have that side as well. So that was something I did what you just described.
Yeah.
I really asked myself, how do I want to be? Like, do I really want to choose that? Not allowing any emotions coming up. You can only cry if you have a really good reason, like someone died.
I sometimes cry when I see like just a video online. I start falling when I that, so.
Yeah. No, I tear up whenever I see something, for example, when someone does something kind, like gentle, or for a stranger, somehow like that like tears me up when I see someone supporting a grandma getting over the street. I'm like, oh.
Same.
I watch an emotional movie. The first person to have tears is me. It's just an example for a paradigm.
But it's amazing to see also how you shifted that then.
Yeah.
Because it's a huge difference from what you've just described.
It's possible. It's possible. At the same time when I speak, there are a couple of people coming up who I would love for to change. Like I really want them to change, not because for me, also because of my intentions, obviously, because I want the best for them. But they just don't. They choose the same old story, the same old patterns, the same old behavior, yeah.
You cannot control everything.
You cannot control everything. But I hope some of them are listening to the podcast. You know?
Yeah, if you feel spoken to in any way, then that might be a sign.
Do you think that's the reason why there is such a thing as generational trauma? Like in my family, in my previous generations, alcohol was just like everybody would pass it on to the next generation and to the next generation and to the next generation. And then until like one person in the generation like steps out of it and says, like, you know what, actually is terrible, let's fucking stop it.
Yeah, I think if I reflect on my situation, it was a lot about the 9-to-5 system, and that you have to work hard to earn something, to be worthy of something. I think, in every household you have certain generational things that you carry with you, and then sometimes you catch them and you have the power to break a cycle. Some people don't.
Beautiful question to ask. Like, what is the generational trauma that ends with you in your situation? So for you, it's this. Is there anything else?
There's a lot.
Give us one, Zowhy.
Yeah, I think for sure, like just having to walk the conventional path and having to work hard, do something you don't necessarily love, just to be able to support yourself and your family financially. to then come home and watch TV and go to sleep and repeat and have that same cycle over and over again. I do not sign up for that. No. So yeah, for sure that one. And I'm very happy that I actually, discovered what I wanted to do so early on in my life. Because I started my business when I was 21.
It's wild. I spoke with someone about this at the retreat. That is just, it gives me so much hope that people, because automatically I compare myself when I was 21 with that, and I was at a different stage, and it just makes me so happy when I hear that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm incredibly grateful for that.
I think this whole topic of generational trauma is very big, and if I think about the generational trauma that ends with me, I'm definitely thinking about, for example, this like whole emotion, showing emotion as a weakness topic. That is something that definitely ended with me. Alcoholism, like numbing your pain with a substance. I think that's when most people become an alcoholic. Same is true for food, I would say. I think that is something that probably many people are unaware of. They feel some kind of discomfort, stress, and they numb it. Some people with alcohol, some people with cigarettes, some people with food.
With other unhealthy habits as well, right? The quick dopamine things.
Yeah. That's something that I really did. Like there's so many terrible things I did.
It's powerful.
But that ends with me. Like I wouldn't want to, pass that on to future generations. So a beautiful journaling question. I think you love journaling too. What traumas, what generational traumas do you not want to pass on anymore? Like what do you want to say in your generation that like this shit ends with me, and like I cannot see another alcoholic. Like I really. And I don't know how it is for you and your family, or like how you perceive it. I just think there's so many topics you think you cannot speak about because you offend someone else.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are such minis when it comes to those things, no? Like, wouldn't you want to address the elephant in the room?
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting to talk about these things, but for so many people it's taboo.
Yeah.
It's like
why?
Money, alcohol, even work sometimes.
Yeah. It's like literally, like those are the interesting things for me to
dive into.
to dive into. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about intimacy. And literally, those things are people like.
It's like
No, who talks about that?
Yeah. If I would bring that up at home, money, for example, it's like. We don't talk about it.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. I remember my mom died very early, and I remember this one moment with someone in my family. There was like those photo albums, where you put pictures, and someone took pictures of the funeral of my mom and put it in there. And then I was looking through pictures, right? As a child in this thing, and it was me and my birthday, and and then I saw a picture of the funeral and my mom, and then and no, you can't look at this, and I'm like, wouldn't it be nice to know and talk about those things?
To allow it to come up.
Why?
Comfort.
Or discomfort.
Yeah, staying in comfort.
Yeah, avoiding discomfort.
Yeah.
What if all the beauty in life is actually in
the discomfort?
In the discomfort, in looking at it, in the conversations you don't want to have, the pictures you don't want to look at.
It reminds me of what I said earlier with the objections as well.
Yeah. Oh, that was one of my favorite bits of the retreat with Zowhy. She's like, whenever people have objections and sales calls, this is when that's what I love the most.
Yeah, because that's also the discomfort, right? On the other end, there's resistance coming up, there's discomfort coming up,
Yeah.
and I like to address it and
Yeah.
guide them through it, see what's underneath, because it's not just the surface level of the discomfort, there's more.
I think that's when vulnerability happens, and people who experience true vulnerability actually know
Yeah, I thrive on vulnerability.
how beautiful it is when life is not just surface level. How are you? Good, perfect,
Yeah.
amazing, and
And
actually you feel like
acceptance.
shit. Yeah, like what is that? It's one of my favorite things when people walk through life and just ask like, "How are you?" But they don't want to hear the answer.
Yes.
Then don't ask me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you're not ready to hear the answer of how are you, also pause, because like how are you is such a big fucking question.
Yep. Yeah, true.
There is not just how are you good or how are you bad, but you always hear the same shit. It's fucking boring, no? Everybody says we hate small talk, but then we ask how are you and we use it as a question to like just say something.
Yeah, to just start a conversation.
You might as well just say hi.
Yes, exactly.
Hi. That's what you want to do. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
So how are you? It's like, fuck, this 20-minute answer. How am I?
Yeah, if you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, if you once as an experiment, or like just in my day-to-day life, I started doing that. There was this one guy at the gym, the coach at the gym. He always asks, "How are you?" And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna. I'm like, this is how I am. And if I had like something happened that was painful, and he would come in with this big energy and like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm actually not doing okay. And he just walked by. I'm like, you fuck.
No, really?
Not because he was bad or something. He just doesn't even listen. We don't even listen when we ask, how are you?
Because you expect just a short, meaningless answer.
Yeah. And then same gym, it's wrong gym in Bali, in case anybody ever noticed, wanted to know. Then there is this guy. I love this man. Maybe he's watching, because he's one of my certainties in life. Since I'm in Bali, I always see him. It doesn't matter which gym I go to. This young man I think he's in like his 50s or 60s. He does yoga all the time. Like he's super, super fit. And we had this how are you moment, and I paused and we spoke. And we had such it was a stranger, but like those people you kind of always see, but you never really talk to. And we had this beautiful conversation. So every single time now when we see each other and we ask, how are you? We start laughing. But we really like, even though we are strangers and we would never meet for like a coffee or something, it's this like,
you had that interaction.
Yeah, we had that interaction, and actually, like someone is caring, even though it's a stranger. I just think it's like
we can use more of that.
Yeah, bit of mindfulness in the question, how are you, towards other people. And like sometimes for me, even a conversation with a complete stranger can be so beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
And can mean the world.
Yeah, because if you think about it, that's one of these crazy concepts I sometimes think about. We're with so many people, and you have your own life that you're living, but every single person does. So if you zoom out and you think about it, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own entire story. We're walking past each other, but being in a completely different world, reality.
Yeah. And and it's controversial to say it, I say that there are no bad people. There are only good people. I think everybody has a good heart. There are hurt people for sure, who are in a lot of pain, and hurt people. And when you really speak to people that you consider as bad and you really hear their whole story, they don't tell you like, hey, actually, I love my life, I enjoy life, No, they tell you about like, if they feel safe, about all those freaking traumas that happened. There's a brilliant book called What Happened to You by Oprah and Dr. Bruce Perry. Brilliant book, and then you actually understand, oh, that's why you behave the way you behave.
Yeah.
Like that is one of the juiciest things you can do, decode your own behavior. Like why do you behave the way you behave, and
there's more beneath the surface.
yeah. Zowhy, I'm gonna ask you a very deep question. How are you?
Good.
Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the next question. It's very good weather today, no? Oh yeah, it's very sunny. It's very sunny. How are you in the sense of what are you experiencing after the retreat? Because if I don't know how it is for you. I sometimes feel like after a retreat, there's a bit of time where I actually love to be alone, and then I hear from others that they like go into a retreat, and then afterwards there is this dip. How are you experiencing
I still need to have that time alone.
Yeah.
Tonight when I'm arriving home, I will have that with my cat. Yeah, it's like you kind of, I told it many times, but it feels like you get sucked out of your usual reality and put into like a vortex for like 6 days, 7 days with a bunch of strangers who then become sometimes even closer than the usual people you have around you in your life, which is crazy. I'm feeling very grateful that I was part of it, that I met these people, that we were so vulnerable together. Yeah, I made some incredible connections. So I'm feeling very grateful. And one thing I'm going to do when I'm on the plane later today is take my journal, reflect on what I actually want to take with me in my, because I think that's one of the traps that can happen is you get back into day-to-day life after a retreat or after like a special experience, and it kind of starts to fade away if you don't do anything with it. So I want to actually think about, okay, what was it in the past week that I actually want to implement now in my day-to-day life? One of the things I know I will implement is dancing more and jumping around more.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one of the things for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, that makes me so happy when someone like, integrates and implements. It's like one thing, all of those things, or you hear all of those things, and then actually like, doing it is a whole different story. So this makes me very, very happy. So you are someone who you spend most of your time helping others, serving others, coaching others. What is the best advice you have, the best coaching bit, best coaching piece that you have ever received?
Showing the real you, showing yourself, especially with an online business. We're showing up online all the time and showing up as yourself, as just fully who you are. I think that's like the thing that changed everything for me as well, because then you start to actually attract people that feel like a complete alignment with who you are. Otherwise, even if it's just a small thing that you adapt because you think you have to, then you attract people who align with that.
Can be fucking scary at times, no?
Yeah,
We just spoke about that. I had a coaching session this morning. We spoke exactly about that, and that's a reflection I get from friends as well. They're like, Axel, you are like you are on social media, but in real life, let's be honest, you are 10 times goofier. Like I'm actually pretty funny. I don't think people know, but there must be some resistance in sharing that.
I think we all have parts where we feel a bit more reserved or resistant to share it, or yeah, I think we all do, but it's good to sometimes reflect on which parts that may be and think about how you want to share that.
Yeah.
If you want to, because you can have your boundaries, of course.
Yeah. And right now, do you want to use the moment, the space to break the pattern? If someone feels similar to me, do you want to record a story right now and be so fucking goofy and funny to just like break the pattern? Maybe. What is a question that we can journal on that you maybe did in the past that shifts a lot for people? Like one really good question to ask yourself.
For me, something that comes to mind, I'm just going to say it, is it's maybe a bit more like not necessarily 100% in alignment with what we have been talking about, but more in alignment with how I'm going about like my business and life in general. Is like, what does inner peace mean to you? And how can you live by that in your day-to-day life?
What does inner peace look like to you, and how can you live by it?
Yeah, what does it mean for you? Because I think it's also a definition that can be different for every single person. And it's otherwise, if you don't reflect on it and you just hear the term inner peace, you can think a lot of things. But I think it's interesting to reflect on what it actually means for you. And then if you're actually living by it or not. And if not, how can you change that? Because I think that's like the essence.
I love that. Zoe, I am, as you know, I think my 30s were all about writing books, and I have many things I want to write about. One day I want to write and publish a book with all of the best success recipes of the most amazing people I've met, and like all put it together, their best lessons about love, relationships, about money, about business, about psychology. What is one bit that you would like to add to this book?
What a big question to answer.
You're very welcome.
What is one piece I would like to add to the book? Where
like, Axel, you should write about this, you should talk about this. Can be something love related, can be something health related, can be something money related.
What I just said, that foundation of inner peace, of feeling grounded. And I truly believe that, like, for me, my life changed completely once I started living by that, not only my personal life, but also my business. And if you create from that foundation of inner peace, being in your inner anchor.
No, I agree with you. Yeah, that's exactly also what I teach. We have a lot of similarities in that sense. I would say abundance attracts abundance and lack attracts lack. So it starts with this, creating this inner peace, and then you hear, but I don't have the clients yet, or I don't have any money, or it's so easy for you to say. Yeah, you had it from Zoe.
Yes.
No, I agree. It's bullshit, because let's face reality. You can have all of those things and still feel like shit, and don't have peace, and don't find joy. So it's not the thing, it's you.
Yes.
And the beautiful thing is, when you take care of that, then you can create flow. Of course, nobody wants to work with you if you are, how can I say it? If you smell like neediness.
True.
We were talking about Rochelle Fox. She said it on my, because you went to one of her retreats. She said during the interview I had with her, she said neediness has
Stinky cologne.
a stinky cologne. I was like, yes, exactly. Change your cologne. Like, this peace you create within yourself, and you can create that space. We created that space for the last 6 days, every single day in some way. So it's you.
Yeah, it's the energy you send out. It's like you cannot read it on you, but you can feel it.
Yeah, and that. Beautiful. I'll write about it. If you would have to get another tattoo that gives you a daily reminder of something, what would it be? Because actually, it's one of the questions I ask people. You have a question on their hands, to reflect. Like, if you would have to get a tattoo that reminds you of a powerful lesson that you never want to forget in your day-to-day life, what would it be? You already have one. Is it true?
I have 18
Okay.
right now, but I would have to add one now. That's a difficult question. Actually, I have an appointment set for next month.
So it's a good question to ask yourself.
But it's this, I think, a link to groundedness, connection with nature, and that link between the two, feeling grounded, nature, Mother Nature. Yeah, I think not in words, but in art.
In art.
Yeah.
And something that reminds you of peace, nature. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, Zowhy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for asking me.
I was about to say thank you for your beautiful blue eyes. They are beautiful. They are beautiful and blue. I have to say thank you for your you're just yourself. You have this Zen energy, and for someone like me, it's so nice to be in that energy. It's very grounding, very calming, very beautiful, and I'm so happy and grateful that we got the time to sit down together, ask some very profound questions. I would say that I hope people listening will actually take the time, like you do later on your flight, to like sit down with your thoughts, get a journal out, get it out of your head, get it on paper, and change something if you want to. If you're already happy with everything and life is picture perfect, well, then maybe don't change. But there's this saying that goes something that is about, I read it on the oh, thank you, by the way. Everybody made a gift for me, like and the other people from the retreat, about just a thank you and words of affirmation. My number one love language. So I was very happy, and I'm so glad you changed. Someone wrote. I was like, what a beautiful sentence. But there is this thing when you are basically saying congratulations or something, you say like stay the same, or what is the exact framing? Do you know what I mean about what I talk about? Never change. But there's there's a way of framing it where you're like happy, don't change because I love you so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But I'm
And someone wrote, I don't know who it was, but someone wrote about like, I'm so happy you keep changing. And I was like, what a beautiful way of saying that. I don't know why it came up, but I'm just very happy to witness how unapologetically you're just yourself.
I love that. Thank you so much.
And just big thank you. I will obviously link all of your pages, science platforms, where they can get some more Zen Zowhy energy. And thank you so much for your time, Zowhy.
Thank you so much for asking me, and for the past week, the entire experience of the retreat as well.
Thank you. May you be safe, peaceful, and healthy. There you go. Thank you, Zowhy. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode, just as a little gift from our side, from my team, because you stayed until the end of this episode. 30 days of free Fire Within membership. I created the Fire Within membership to give you guys access to the tools that have changed my life, the lives of my clients, and give you also access to a community of like-minded people. We have guided breathwork sessions, guided meditations, guided visualization practices, really tools that enable you to create the life that you deserve and that you want. And it's one of the best things we have ever created. Hundreds of people, live events, sessions that will blow your mind. 30 days for free. You will find the link in the description. Thank you so much, and until next time.